Hey everyone, it is I, Nix. Are you ready to ramble? News in. Cyril meets with the South African National Defence Force General and he gives the all clear. The fact that we were expecting anything else from him is the joke on us. The problem is that it's not just the actions of the general and the fact that we have soldiers in the DRC being killed and now the rebels are in South Africa and, you can't keep up with these folk. But it's an institution where funneling money is very easy. Yet, out of a 52 billion rand budget, 32 of that goes to employee salaries. They're also sitting with a 22.8 billion rand wasteful, irregular and fruitless expenditure. Today, I just quickly want to take you through some of the comments that the auditors made. And it's not only our defense system and our borders that is so porous. We literally have rebels from the DRC or Congo, wherever they came from, entering our country and literally our police in them. The statement is we don't know where they came from. But the finances and the ability, the internal capacity to run our Department of Defense is as porous as our borders. And I think we really do need to be made aware of this because, with the unemployment and all those factory closures and we really do need to be a little bit more aware about how fragile our security is and how fragile society is in terms of doing another July unrest. The auditor states, I was unable to determine whether any adjustments were necessary to sensitive projects expenditure included in the expenditure of 14.8 billion rand and investments in special defence activities for a further 179 million. There's more. The auditor couldn't gather enough evidence of movable assets as the department could not indicate where these assets were located nor provide any other information related to their location. Cool, I'm so glad. And that comes to military assets amounting to 4 billion rand. We're like, I don't know where they are. I think I sold it to Iran. I'm going to go with that as an option. On top of that, the auditor was unable to determine whether any adjustments were necessary for capital assets stated at 67 billion rand. Yes, they had no control over their budget or the department. The department also went and made errors in basic salaries, housing allowances, and deprivation allowances. And the auditor couldn't determine the full extent of that, stated at 35.3 billion rand, and the relatable receivable balance at a further 1 billion rand. The financial statements submitted weren't even prepared in accordance with the prescribed financial reporting framework. So you can't even get your little ducks in a row for an audit. I mean, I would have sleepless nights if my business had an audit report like this. I would not sleep. I would be sweating blue from stress. I mean, they're all just, traveling to Iran, going on a holiday, Laka Colombia. Cool, don't worry, I'll pay my tax soon. It says effective and appropriate steps were not taken to prevent unauthorized expenditure. Effective and appropriate steps were not taken to prevent irregular expenditure. effective steps are not taken to prevent fruitless and wasteful expenditure, which all comes to 22.8 billion rand. On top of not having all the effective steps in place for everything else, the report goes on to say, consequence management, because we know how much the ANC loves consequence management. They like to talk about it, but I don't think they actually know what it means at this rate. I was unable to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence for disciplinary steps. I was unable to obtain appropriate evidence that the disciplinary steps were taken. Investigations were not conducted into all allegations. And of course, let's talk about the lease payments for unoccupied office buildings at a cost of 108 million rand. When I saw that article that Cyril's cleared the general, on top of the minister clearing him, on top of his trip, blatantly national, international media claiming what he claims, it popped in my mind. Cyril is most definitely a passive-aggressive person. Passive-aggressive essentially is defined as a pattern of indirectly expressing negative feelings instead of openly addressing them. Yes, passive-aggressive is a low emotional EQ. Unfortunately, as a leader, you need to up those numbers a bit. So there's a disconnect between what a person who exhibits passive-aggressive behavior says and what he or she does, which is an absolutely prime example of Cyril. A disconnect between what Cyril says and what he does is what passive-aggressiveness is. Essentially, Cyril doesn't want to have confrontation with Trump. He doesn't want to have the hard discussion. Because there's always middle ground in business. You just need to weigh certain things very differently. Cyril does not want to have the confrontational discussion with Trump in order to mend trade relations. Instead, he's going about saying a whole bunch of things without actually saying anything at all. Essentially, Cyril Ramaphosa's actions says everything we need to know about the ANC's alliance and potentially about the short-term future of our country. I can't face that reality right now, but I'm putting it on the table. We'll discuss it at a later date. The short-term security of South Africa's future is at risk because Cyril is giving us all the signs. The story's there, it's just not in writing. Okay, guys, that's my ramble for today. So many numbers, I know, and every department looks like this. Local elections, local elections, local elections, vote, 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 register, register, and register. I'm going to leave you to have the rest of your day to yourself. I hope it's a great one. Over and out.